The Sylvia Likens Story Part 1. Hello guys and welcome to Anonymous Pandemonium. I am using Filmora Wondershare as a tool to edit my videos for now, but I am hoping to upgrade to something to get rid of the watermark. Please don't come at me. Today I will be talking about the crime that traumatized me and gave me nightmares. Before I start, I want to give everyone watching this a warning. This video contains material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. This case is about Sylvia Likens. Sylvia Likens was an American teenager who was tortured and murdered by her caregiver, Gertrude Banaszewski, many of Banaszewski's children, and several of their neighborhood friends. This abuse incrementally lasted for 3 months before Likens died from her extensive injuries and malnourishment on October 26, 1965, in Indianapolis, Indiana. Sylvia Marie Likens, January 3, 1949 to October 26, 1965, was the third of 5 children born to carnival workers Lester Cecil Likens, 1926–2013. And his wife, Elizabeth Betty Frances, N.A. Copyright E. Grimes 1927–1998. She was born between 2 sets of fraternal twins A. Daniel and Diana, 2 years older than her, and Benny and Jenny, 1 year younger. Jenny Likens suffered from polio, causing one of her legs to be weaker than the other. She was afflicted with a notable limp and had to wear a steel brace on one leg. Lester and Elizabeth's marriage was unstable. They often sold candy, beer, and soda at carnival stands around Indiana throughout the summer, moving frequently, and regularly experiencing severe financial difficulties. The Likens sons regularly traveled with them in order to assist with their job, but Sylvia and Jenny were discouraged from doing the same, out of concern for their safety and education. As a result, both sisters frequently stayed with their relatives, often their grandmother. In her teenage years, Sylvia Likens occasionally earned spending money by babysitting, running errands, or performing ironing chores for friends and neighbors, often giving her mother part of her earnings. She has been described as a friendly, confident and lively girl, with long, wavy, light brown hair extending below her shoulders, and was known as Cookie to her friends. Although exuberant, Likens always kept her mouth closed when smiling due to a missing front tooth, which she had lost while wrestling with one of her brothers during a childhood game. She was also fond of music, particularly the Beatles, and was notably protective of her markedly more timid and insecure younger sister. On several occasions, the two sisters would visit a local skating rink, where Sylvia would help Jenny skate by holding her hand, while Jenny skated on her unaffected foot. By June 1965, Sylvia and Jenny Likens resided with their parents in Indianapolis. On July 3, their mother was arrested and subsequently jailed for shoplifting. Shortly thereafter, Lester Likens arranged for his daughters to board with Gertrude Banaszewski, the mother of 2 girls with whom the sisters had recently become acquainted while studying at Arsenal Technical High School, Paula and Stephanie Banaszewski. At the time of this boarding agreement, Gertrude assured Lester she would care for his daughters until his return as if they were her own children. Shortly after the July 4th holiday, the sisters moved into 3850 East New York Street in order for their father and, later, their mother to travel to the East Coast with the carnival, with the understanding that Gertrude would receive weekly boarding fees of $20 to care for their daughters until they returned to collect Sylvia and Jenny in November of that year. During the initial weeks in which Sylvia and Jenny resided at the Banaszewski household, the sisters were subjected to very little discipline or abuse. Likens regularly sang along to pop records with Stephanie, and she willingly participated in housework at the Banaszewski residence. 23. Both girls also regularly attended Sunday school with the Banaszewski children, with the pastor commending Sylvia's piety. The start of the abuse. Although Lester Likens had agreed to pay Gertrude Banaszewski $20 a week in exchange for the care of his daughters, after approximately 2 weeks, these payments failed to consistently arrive upon the prearranged dates, occasionally arriving 1 or 2 days late. In response, Gertrude began venting her frustration at his fact upon the sisters by beating their bare buttocks with various instruments. such as a 1/4 inch thick, 6.4 millimeters, paddle, making statements such as, "Well, I took care of you two little bitches for a week for nothing." On one occasion, in late August, both girls were beaten approximately 15 times on the back with the aforementioned paddle, after Paula had accused the sisters of eating too much food at a church supper the household children had attended. By mid-August, Gertrude Banaszewski had begun to focus her abuse almost exclusively upon Sylvia, with her primary motivation likely being jealousy of the girl's youth, appearance, respectability, and potential. 28. According to subsequent trial testimony, this abuse was initially inflicted upon Sylvia, after she and Jenny had returned to the Banaszewski residence from Arsenal Technical High School, as well as on weekends. This initial abuse included subjecting Likens to beatings and starvation, forcing her to eat leftovers or spoiled food out of garbage cans. On one occasion, Likens was accused of stealing candy she had actually purchased. On another occasion, in late August, Likens was subjected to humiliation when she claimed to have a boyfriend in Long Beach, whom she had met in the spring of 1965 when her family lived in California. In response, Gertrude asked if Sylvia had ever done anything with a boy, to which Likens, unsure of her meaning, replied, "I guess so," and explained that she had gone skating with boys there, and had once gone to a park on the beach with them. Continuing the conversation with Jenny and Stephanie, Sylvia mentioned that she had once laid under the covers with her boyfriend. Upon hearing this, Gertrude asked, "Why did you do that, Sylvia?" Likens replied, "I don't know," and shrugged. Several days later, Gertrude returned to the subject with Likens, telling her, "You're certainly getting big in the stomach, Sylvia. It looks like you're going to have a baby." Likens thought Gertrude was kidding with her and said, "Yeah, it sure is getting big. I'm just going to have to go on a diet." Gertrude then informed her, and the other girls in the house, that whenever they did something with a boy, they would be sure to have a baby. She then kicked Likens in the genitals. Paula, herself 3 months pregnant, and also jealous of Likens' physical appearance, then participated in attacking Likens, knocking her off her chair and onto the kitchen floor, shouting, "You ain't fit to sit in a chair." On another occasion, as the family ate supper, Gertrude, Paula, and a neighborhood boy named Randy Gordon Lepper force-fed Likens a hot dog overloaded with condiments, including mustard, ketchup and spices. Likens vomited as a result, and was later forced to consume what she had regurgitated. In what was Likens' only act of retaliation, she is alleged to have spread a rumor at Arsenal Technical High School that Stephanie and Paula Banaszewski were prostitutes because she was upset with the household singling her out for similar accusations. While at school, Stephanie was jokingly propositioned by a boy who told her that Likens had started this rumor about her. Upon returning home that day, Stephanie questioned Likens about the rumor and she admitted to starting it. Stephanie punched her in response, but Likens apologized to her, in tears, and Stephanie then also began to cry. However, when Stephanie's boyfriend, 15-year-old Coy Randolph Hubbard, heard of the rumor, he brutally attacked Likens, slapping her, banging her head against the wall and flipping her backwards onto the floor. When Gertrude found out, she used a paddle to beat Likens. On another occasion, Paula beat Likens about the face with such force that she broke her own wrist, having primarily focused her blows upon Likens' teeth and eyes. Later, Paula used a cast on her wrist to further beat Likens. Gertrude repeatedly falsely accused Likens of promiscuity and of engaging in prostitution, ranting about the filthiness of prostitution and women in general. Gertrude would later occasionally force Jenny to strike her own sister, beating Jenny if she did not comply. Coy Hubbard and several of his classmates frequently visited the Banaszewski residence to both physically and verbally torment Likens, often collaborating with Banaszewski's children and Gertrude herself. With Gertrude's active encouragement, these neighborhood children routinely beat Likens, sometimes using her as a practice dummy in violent judo sessions, lacerating her body, burning her skin with lit cigarettes in excess of 100 times, and severely injuring her genitals. To entertain Gertrude and her teenage accomplices, Likens was forced at one point to strip naked in the family living room and masturbate with a glass Pepsi-Cola bottle in their presence, with Gertrude stating to all present that this act of humiliation was for Sylvia to prove to Jenny what kind of a girl you are. Gertrude eventually forbade Likens from attending school after she confessed to having stolen a gym suit from the school due to Gertrude having refused to purchase the clothing for her. For this act of theft, Gertrude whipped Likens with a 3-inch wide, 7.6 centimeters, police belt. Gertrude then switched her conversation to the evils of premarital sex before repeatedly kicking Likens in the genitals as Stephanie rallied to Likens' defense, shouting, "She didn't do anything." Gertrude then burned Likens' fingertips with matches before further whipping her. A few days later, Gertrude repeatedly whipped Jenny with the police belt after she reportedly stole a single tennis shoe from the school to wear on her strong foot. I understand that this story is so hard to listen to, so I will stop for now and resume the story on my next upload. A lot of bad things happened to Sylvia Likens and clearly there is a lot to unpack. This story is so sad in so many levels. Please wait for me to upload the second part of this story, and pardon me if the editing is still rough. This is just my second video after all. I will see you soon.